We've all experienced times in our lives when we're so absorbed in an activity, so immersed in the present moment that time seems to stand still, yet also flies by. In this state, there is a seamless merging of action and awareness, where we have a sense of the action happening on its own through our being. Whether you call this the flow state or something else, this video will go through the 4 key steps you must take if you want to achieve this state of effortless concentration whenever you want. When the mind is perfectly still and the action seems to happen through us, we're no longer functioning in the same plane of existence as before. That's why it feels so good and we crave more of it. It can be the only time where we finally have some peace and quiet in there and are finally flowing with the life force that animates our being. However, if we try to grasp at that state, it will always slip through our fingers. Achieving it doesn't require you to learn anything new, but instead to unlearn the things you currently do that get in your way. The flow state is simply one of many names for our natural state of oneness, a presence with our life force and a deep concentration on the present moment that is always available to us. If you want to be able to achieve it consistently, all you have to do is get out of your own way, and flow will arrive as a gift from the universe. The first distinction is to separate your mind and ego from your body or your true self, your higher self. It is the constant thinking of the ego mind which causes interference with our ability to flow with the present moment. We love to think, but all of our great works are done when we're not calculating or thinking, but spontaneously allowing the creative process inherent in our being to flow freely. This self doesn't need improvement, and it doesn't need you to tell it how to do things. It has always been and always will be fine. When you're struggling with getting yourself immersed in a creative task, this is due to the internal chatter of your mind. You put pressure on yourself to perform. You denigrate the work you've done so far and wish you were as good as some other person. Our society has built up an association with performance and self-worth, so getting to the point where we allow ourselves to just learn at our own pace and without judgment is incredibly difficult. We don't go to school to learn, we go to get a good grade so we can go to a good university, so we can get a good job. Instead of trying to learn something that we might have truly enjoyed for its own sake, we spoil our own fun by basing it on performance or output. We must remember that the value of a human being cannot be measured in output, or really measured at all. We are what we are. We are not how well we happen to perform at any given task or the value we bring to our family or our company. A grade on a report card might point to knowledge and ability in algebra, but it doesn't measure that person's value. My saying this won't just magically change this tendency to focus on output and performance overnight, but the good news is that this is a learned habit, as is the constant chatter in our mind. If we want to teach ourselves how to reach that state of effortless concentration, the first step is learning how to quiet it down. That's why a consistent meditation practice is a prerequisite for cultivating an ability to reach the flow state whenever you want. Check out my step-by-step meditation routine video if you have struggled with this essential habit in the past. This need to measure up is an ego block and will not allow you to reach the state of effortless action we're aiming to achieve. Meditation will help you start to notice when the mental chatter starts up, so you can choose whether to listen to it or not. Resist the mind's urge to attach a positive or negative judgment to an event and instead try to see reality as it is. Work on detaching your value from what you do and realize that you have nothing to prove to anyone except to yourself. This brings us to our next point. When a surfer is trying to catch a wave, they won't catch the easiest one that comes their way just because they know they can have an easy ride back to shore. They'll try to wait for the right wave, which is one that will challenge them just enough to bring out their greatest effort. The greater the challenge, the greater the opportunity for the surfer to discover and extend their true potential. The surfer is not out to prove themselves to others or measure up to some arbitrary external expectation of what a good surfer is, but instead is involved in an inner exploration of their latent capacities. Catching a wave that is almost too hard and where they feel like they have to use every ounce of effort to overcome it is a huge victory. If the surfer has any chance of succeeding, they are not verbally thinking about what they're going to do next, but are allowing the body to flow in perfect harmony with the wave. The value and the flow come not from the wave itself, but from the supreme effort required to surf it. Peak performance comes from something beyond the mind, whether you're playing a sport, making music, writing a report, or creating a work of art. Your ability to do those effectively lie beneath the layer of words and thoughts. Your focus should be not on what the result is, but on whether you are putting in maximum effort. That's where the true value and your growth lies. This is unique to you, and the judgment or denigration of the mind as you're doing this will only get in your way. There is an inherent intelligence in you which you have no control over. If you try to force this intelligence to come forth, it will backfire every single time. If the self knows how to perform an action, then let it happen. If it doesn't know, then let it learn. Constantly remind yourself of this difference between making an effort and trying to perform. If you are able to not get emotionally invested in what you're doing, you get to experience the joy of learning and of seeing what you're capable of. The more you are able to get out of your own way, the more your self is able to do and the more capable it seems to become. This self doesn't learn through words but through images and proprioception. Don't mentally tell yourself what you want, but instead learn how to get the clearest possible image of the outcome in your mind and then trust that the self will do what you ask of it. Visualize the desired outcome and then observe yourself and let the action happen. Don't analyze, just do. If this doesn't come naturally to you, the only course of action is to practice. Try this. Grab a small item like a pen or a fruit, anything that you can hold and manipulate with your hands and easily digest visually. Study the pen from all angles for 30 seconds, taking in as much detail as possible. Once the time is up, put the pen away, close your eyes, and try to visualize the pen as if projected on a movie screen about 6 feet in front of you. See if you can notice the details of the pen, the writing of the brand on the side, the texture of the tip. Can you mentally move the pen around? Try to rotate it in different directions while maintaining a clear image in your head. If you practice this after a meditation session, you will likely notice that the visualization comes more easily and with greater detail. Once you're able to do this with little effort, move on to something that has more detail and repeat. Eventually, the goal is to be able to visualize an abstract goal you have with so much detail, it seems as if you're actively experiencing it. We'll cover that more deeply in a future video. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss it. Once you're able to create a clear mental image, ask the body or self to do whatever it has to do to get there, and then get out of the way. This will also help you improve your ability to concentrate, which is the next skill, and I'd argue one of the most important life skills for you to focus on. Concentration and the flow state are two different things, but you won't be able to achieve this state of oneness without working on your ability to concentrate. And contrary to popular belief, you don't have to just do it with activities like working, studying, reading, or writing, but you can practice your ability to concentrate at all times. Whatever you're doing is an opportunity to focus. It's a simple binary of are you conscious and present with what you're doing or are you lost in the mind? This also further shifts your focus from the outer to the inner. You're no longer focusing on reading, but instead are reading to improve your ability to focus on the present moment. The same can be said for any hobby, sport, or even just a mundane activity like doing the dishes. Natural focus, and eventually a state of flow, doesn't come by trying hard or forcing the mind to focus. It comes when the mind is interested and quiet. When the mind is drawn irresistibly toward the object of interest, deep concentration will come by itself. As you get better at this, you will notice that your perception of time will change and it will feel like your body is acting on its own. When you're washing the dishes, you will have a sense that your hands are doing the work and you're observing them do it. This gift will come when you are ready for it. Allow it and be grateful for it. However, remember that if we try to grasp at it, it will slip away. Simply focus on taking action in the present moment, on improving concentration, and eventually flow will come on its own later. The only way to get better at this is to practice. Whenever you notice the mind wanders away from whatever you're doing in the present moment, gently bring it back to your internal and external experience. There you have it. Focus on these 4 things and you will be able to teach yourself how to reach a flow state on command. Start by meditating so you can teach the mind to get out of the way of the life force that's always flowing through us. Then when you're doing an activity, aim to challenge yourself to the very edge of your ability so you have to put in maximum effort. Learn how to use your inner eye to visualize what you'd like to experience and then allow the self to execute it without your interference. And finally, improve your powers of presence and concentration so that you can naturally reach flow. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. And make sure to check the description for more resources. Until next time, safe travels.